Hey, welcome to Keeping It Real with Oyin, where we drop the filters and talk real life. I'm Oyin, a teen and parent coach, wife to one husband, and a mother to a 17-year-old son and a 14-year-old daughter. So trust me, I'm living life. On this podcast, we talk about real issues that have to do with parenting, being a teenager, and life as a whole. No edits, no perfection, just real conversations with friends and real people living real lives. Today's chat is with my best friend, who happens to be my sister. The funny thing is, I couldn't stand her when we were kids. So if you're wondering how that shift happened, join us as we talk about dealing with sibling rivalry. Hi, everyone. So I am on with my sister. My sister always emphasizes that older. So whenever we're like, oh, this is my sister, she's like, older sister. And on my own podcast, she's saying the same thing. Anyway, this is my older sister. Her name is, well, I call her D, but people call her Bewaji. That's her preferred name. So I thought, I've had a lot of people come to me asking about sibling conflicts, the kids fighting. And my sister and I used to fight a lot as kids. So I thought, you know what? This would be a good podcast. As this podcast always is, it's unfiltered. There's no pre-rehearsed questions. We're actually in my room and we're just chatting. So, my darling sister. Oh, I have to say, my sister is 2 years and 3 months. No, 2 months. So 2 months.
Yes,
2 years.
Still enough to be probably older.
So my sister is 2 years, and so we're a family of 6. We have 2 boys ahead of us, then my older sister, then me, and we have 2 younger ones. So my sister and I are the closest in age.
Gori.
You okay? Yeah. Yes, my sister and my older brother are they're 11 months. You're like wondering, mommy, what were you doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
11 months.
Yeah.
I think it's only one other person that I've seen that has matched that. 11 months. How you didn't even rest. Anyway, but I have to say, my sister,
oh my goodness.
My sister was stubborn. Everybody beat her. Everybody.
Oh.
Damola was stubborn. You know how they used to say he goats.
Okay.
No, my sister. Anyone that sees my sister now, they'll be like, "Oh, she's such a lovely girl."
Yeah.
And even my husband, we've been married for about 20 years. He finds it so hard
to imagine.
Because when I say this person that you are seeing,
as a softie,
that's not how we used to be. He finds it so hard to believe. But when we were growing up, she was not the most pleasant person to be around.
And now is my opportunity to come to my defense. We've been at this for a while, and now I need to say it as it is.
Say your truth. Say your truth.
Absolutely.
There are 2 sides
to
the story.
Oh my goodness. Imagine that I was really difficult.
Child.
But I think that one of the things that caused it is as children we were not close, one, or maybe we were not expressive. Because while I agree with you that I presented as stubborn, I refuse to say that I was stubborn. There was a method to my madness.
Okay.
And there was a reason why.
Okay.
So now I'm bigger than you, right? But when we were younger, you were the bigger sibling. You were the bigger sibling.
Size,
remember?
In terms of size, I can't remember though. Yeah.
You were.
Yeah, I was big.
You were so much bigger. It wasn't like you were big. But I was so small that people used to think that you were the older sister.
Yeah.
And that takes you back, and that gives you the reason why I learned to always put that pronoun whenever I was introducing you, because people would always say, who is the older one? It used to infuriate me. So I was such a small child, and I don't want to say I was bullied, but because I was small, I was conscious of the fact that the potential to be bullied existed. And for me, what I did with that was I gave the first attack. And so everybody saw that as Damola is stubborn.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But it was me saying, if I don't show them that I have power, they will lord it over me. And when I say that, I mean you, who were obviously bigger than me, Gori, who was just a year older than me, but wanted to be treated like the biggest of brothers. And so I had to deal with the two of you. I had to deal with Gori's insistence that he was the older brother, and I had to deal with your, and it wasn't you. It was just the society who was constantly reminding me that you were bigger, and therefore you looked bigger. And so I didn't want you to feel that because you were bigger, you could overpower me. And so I gave don't mind those society people.
Because Damola had to exercise authority every single time. And I'm like, what's wrong with this one? And I think for me that was just an irritation. What's wrong with this one?
Yeah.
So I was always defiant because I'm like, who are you? And I think because with our the brothers, how many years is between?
Big T is 3 years older than Gori.
And that level of respect was there.
Yeah.
They were very, very respectful of one another.
And Gori expected it from me as well. And to be fair, looking back, why not give it to him? But I guess because it was just a year.
It was 11 months.
It was 11 months, right? I just felt that he didn't deserve it the way Big T, who is the oldest, deserved it. So, in the same way that you were wondering, because I'm 2 years older than Oyin. Why isn't she respecting me like everybody's respecting Big T, right? So I expected it from you and I wasn't getting it.
Yeah.
But I didn't give it to Gori because I felt the value, the 11 months and the 3 years, they were not, they were not coming.
Yeah, it was, And thinking about it now, I think maybe the reason why I didn't give you that was my perception of your attitude, that you're not giving it to the people in front of you. So why are you demanding it from me? So I think that was what brought my defiance. And we fought about everything.
Yeah.
And I have this remembrance. I remember vividly, and I say this a lot of the time, that we shared a room. There was a time we shared a room. Can you remember? We shared a room. Me and you shared a room. And it was a double bed. Either it was double bed or king size bed. And we put a line in the middle. Whether it's me or you, there was a line.
Oh, wow.
In the middle. Maybe it was a cloth or something. We always had it. Don't cross
this line.
And I remember we went to boarding school. And I say this all the time. We went to boarding school and people did not know we were siblings. Just because we couldn't stand each other.
And let me quickly say this as well. Because yes, we went to boarding school. And we were all in the same school. And that also helped with whatever resentment that I felt then. And I remember telling you that I grew up with that inferiority. Maybe not grew up, but I had some level. Because whenever we were in school, you and Gori, you were the popular ones. And I wasn't. And I didn't have issues with not being popular. But whenever I got into someone's presence, my name was not Damola. My name was Goriola's sister or Oyinko's sister. And that used to infuriate me. As in, I just couldn't stand there. I was like, and now I'm not looking to be popular, but I do want to be identified as my individual rather than, be referred to as a pronoun of someone else. Which is why till today, I don't let people call me by the name of my child, which we typically do in our culture.
Yeah.
We call people, Tomiwa's mom or so. I don't like it. Everywhere I go, even in the office space, I don't like people referring to me by the name of my husband, by referring to me as the Mrs. I'm like, call me by my name after so many years of not. So, yeah.
Do you know that's funny? Because I found so much pride in being called Goriola's sister.
Wow.
As in, the head boy. No, he wasn't even the head boy. He was a social prefect. What was he? He was one of those prefects. But he was a cool guy. So I was like, yeah, I'm Goriola's sister.
Wow.
It's funny. So the question then is, how did things
get better?
How did things flip? And sometimes I tell parents that when you have kids that are going through that sibling rivalry or conflict stage, you do two things. You try and make sure there's no obvious side taking There's no reason for your child, either child or whatever, if it's two people, to think you like one over the other.
Yeah.
Because all that does is it fires the flame of conflict. That's number one. Number two, teach them to be able to resolve it themselves. It definitely helps. And I think when we were on the cafe thing yesterday, you were saying that you learned that just ignore them. Because the truth is that sibling misunderstanding is a natural phenomenon. It would always happen among siblings. Another thing you can do if you're a hands-on parent, which we expect all parents to do, is to help your children understand your values. So whenever I work with any parent, the first thing I say is your family values. Your family values is the most important thing you need to focus on, and that would inform everything that happens in the home. So for example, I love respect. For me, respect is number one. If that's one of the values in your home, you ask your children, even if you have an argument, how you relate with one another should be respectful. Don't use hateful words. Don't do mean things. It's okay to be angry, but do not hurt the next person while you're doing it. Then you can ask question, what you said, how does that align with our family values? So that's quite important. But don't be the one to always try and resolve things. Let them learn how to deal with conflict resolution. My sister has 2 kids. And I remember they had that stage where they were always at each other's neck. And the ironic thing is, just give them a few minutes later,
and they are best friends. Only I'd known.
As why did you go and waste your energy to say, who did this? Why did you talk to her like that? Why did you just sleep?
Yeah. And as I said yesterday, you were the one that helped me to go through that, because I just couldn't understand why they were fighting. There were times I would ask my son, I'm like, don't you want your sister to exist on earth? Because they fight dirty. Because my son fights dirty. I'm like, why? What did she do that is so overwhelming? But once you told me to let them be, and I let them be, I realized this, that as you said, individuals in any space will always have conflict. No matter how good or perfect they are. The fact that you are in each other's spaces will bring about some level of a difference of anything. But it's good, as you mentioned, to be able to resolve it. And the fact that, okay, no, here's my point. The fact that they are having that conflict doesn't mean that there is hatred or bitterness or anything. It is just that they are having the conflict because they are in each other's spaces. And if you let them be, they will iron it out and they'll talk. And I want to quickly say this as part of what my explanation. You remember when I was serving and then I was going to come in to stay with you in Ibadan then. And then we had matured from the fighting that we had as children, but I also understood the differences that we had between us. And I figured I wouldn't be able to manage that difference. And so I didn't want to stay with you because I couldn't manage the difference. Now, the fact that we're different didn't mean that I didn't like you, was that I couldn't handle the closeness, the proximity of having to deal with that difference. And so we can do our friendship from afar. But I remember that you said, no, now this is not a big enough deal to not have us live together as, in that space at that time. And I always say that I feel like that time worked, first of all, because of you and your ability to look past the things that I was in. My sister was the perfect, honestly. My sister was the perfect. And I knew that I had my own imperfections. But Oyinkon was able to say, you know what, we can live together and manage it. And that's where, and what I want to bring out of that conversation is, at some point, the maturity that comes with age allows your children to look past the differences that they had as kids and realize that we can live together in spite of all of those differences. And now moving forward and 30, 40 years on, we realize that we have the same values. So what were we fighting about when we were kids?
I know. I think I remember vividly what made the first step towards being close again. And I don't know whether you can remember. It was in boarding school. That same boarding school where we never spoke. I think something happened to me. I think I hurt myself.
You're sick.
I was sick. I can't remember exactly what it was. And then you came.
Yes.
And maybe you hugged me and you showed affection. And that was the first time I said,
so this guy's
a heart.
You were sick. And you had been sick a long time. And when I say long, I don't mean like months, but you know, an extended period, maybe 2 or 3 days. And it was really getting concerning. Like, why is she sick? And you were not taking medication. Oh my God.
I hate medication, just for the record.
You weren't taking your medication. So I had to come and at least, I don't remember what I did then, but I do remember that incident.
Yeah, you remember.
I did.
And I think that was what melted, to be honest, that was what melted my heart. So this girl has a heart.
I have it inside of me to be kind.
And now, for the record, my sister, and it's not because she's on the podcast, I think my sister is the kindest person I know. And I don't think I've ever said it. And I was telling somebody, who was I telling? I can't remember. I was telling still somebody, my sister is the most selfless, kindest human being that I know. And so understanding that she had to put up all that because she just needed to give herself a voice. Hearing that today is like, now I get it. Because a lot of the time we behave and we act in a certain way just to protect ourselves a lot of the time. And unless you understand the why behind certain behaviors,
absolutely,
you don't, and it applies in everything, whether it is with your spouse, whether it's with your kids. You're like, this child never listens. There has to be a why. Find out what that why is. Understanding the personality of your child and why they do what they do. And this side of my sister that everybody is seeing now was a side that we didn't see when she's growing up. My sister, I think I can't remember who I was telling. I said, if my sister has 10 quid and somebody desperately needs 8 quid,
I'm telling you, you're right.
She will give you that 8 quid and try and manage the 2 quid. As in, she is so selfless, she's so kind. It's unbelievable. Yeah, she's saying because I've never said it to her before. But that it's amazing how when we stop looking at ourselves and try and see things in the other person's light, it's about give and take, and it takes a lot of maturity. As kids are naturally selfish.
Absolutely.
For kids, it's all about themselves. So it's a phase every child passes through. So when you have sibling conflict, it is not the end of the world. It's a natural phenomenon. Absolutely. It teaches kids how to be able to relate with others, how to resolve conflict, and how to understand the next person. So it's a phase that everyone goes through. And even in the workplace, that happens. Until you spend time with somebody to understand them, that's when you and one thing that does help with sibling thing is when you do things together as a family, engage one another, do fun things, and they're like, this guy's actually fun, right? So that definitely 100%, it definitely helps.
So absolutely. So as we speak, there are 2 things I want to maybe say. Now, I knew why I did what I did when I was a child. I wasn't expressive enough to tell it to anybody around me. And so the people who were looking from the outside saw something different. And so, and I know it's a bit of an ask. I would say, sit with your children and just get an idea of why they think the way they think, why they do the things. It's a difficult ask, especially when we have teenagers who are not talking to you. They're not going to tell you what is in their head. But understanding their point of view helps you to address whatever it is that is causing the conflict. That's number 1. And number 2, and this I learned from you, and I've already said it, don't take sides. Don't take sides. For whatever reason they are conflicting at that point in time, each one has their selfish reason for doing it. Neither of them is right. Neither of them is wrong. They've done it from their own point of view as individuals. And that is why learning to mind my own business, or learning to not mind their business, really, really helped me out of it. And understanding that where they are right now is a phase that they will be. And I'm reminded of Michelle Obama. She said something about her girls.
Yeah.
That when they were teenagers, they fought and fought and fought. And she said to them that you guys are still going to be each other's best friends. And true to it today, you know, at least the last time I heard their story, they're roommates, they live together as young adults now outside of the university, and they are best friends.
Yeah.
And so your children will at some point become each other's best friends. Every parent should know that your children will sometime in the future become each other's best friends. But you need to step away and allow them to be that child or those children, be siblings to each other. Let them have those conflicts, because they will. Do not interfere, because then they will now say, mommy likes this person better, or daddy likes this person. Don't interfere. Let them fight. Let them get back together. Let them be their friends. And, you know, 20 years later,
it works out.
It does.
Because my sister and I were best friends now. Gossip partners. As in, whenever she calls me, hell yeah, can you talk? I say, I can't talk. Let's talk. Yes. As in, the only people I gossip with are my sisters, my two sisters. And we enjoy, we catch up, we just do video with body.
We call it family gossip. We'll start from the oldest of our siblings, and then we'll end at the youngest. You know, but
it's amazing. Even our younger sister, she's 6 years younger than I am. She's 8 years younger than. We're so close.
We are.
We have, and the funny thing is, Didi had the same experience with you. She was like, "What kind of person is this?"
Yeah, that's true.
But now we're all so close. We talk all the time. We're all in each other's business, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I want to touch on that time when you came to stay with me in Ibadan. My sister said we're quite different. I have always been the very organized.
Absolutely.
As in, if I put something at this angle, if you move it by a quarter of an inch, I will know. And I will flip.
And absolutely. And Oyinka will flip. That is it. And is that flipping I couldn't handle?
As in, but when she was coming to the same city as I was, and my sister was looking for a place to stay, I'm like, how does that even make sense? And rightly, she didn't want to stay with me because she just did not have the energy to handle my drama.
What's your drama? Because I know I'm untidy. Yeah. You are organized.
Yeah. And she was like, we can't, it's going to cause drama. It was going to cause drama. Yeah. And for me, it didn't make logical sense. So I was like, you know what? It's okay. Because I know what I'm up against. I decided, you're going to have to rein it in. Just be accepting. And we never, ever, at that point where we stayed for what, a year and a bit? Yeah. Was it more than a year?
It's a year. I think, it was actually a year.
And we, at no point did we
have an argument. You're right.
Any argument. Because I knew what I was dealing with.
And I tried my best.
So I think we kind of met in the middle ground. So sometimes she does something or she puts something here. I'm like, it's not that deep. And you know what? I think doing that helped me when I got married. And not necessarily when I got married, because my husband is not too different from me. He's not as skinny as me, but he's not too bad. Thankfully, I don't have that husband that comes back from work and just throws things around. He doesn't do that. But of course, he's not as finicky as me, but he was okay. But then the kids came in, and I'm like, my husband says, the phrase I like saying, it's not that deep. As in, come to my house. Me, that if you come into my house, then you think it was like something out of a housekeeping magazine. Everything was in its place. But when I had kids, I always tell anybody that comes to my house, I will show you where the cleaning cupboard is. There are bigger battles to fight. I need to survive. So a clean and tidy house was at the bottom of my priority list. And it was hard to believe. But I then remember there was a time my kids went away on holiday with you and your kids. So it was just me and my husband at home. And the day they left, I spring cleaned my house. Like, my husband came back and said, what? Even I was shocked that I still had it inside. And it was so bad that every time I went to the kitchen, I came to the kitchen, there was a bit of crumb on the floor. I'll take the broom and I sweep it again because I like to enter a space and it's clean. And it's amazing how I was able to default back to my default setting. But when the kids came again, it's not that deep. When they clean it, we will all live inside.
That's it.
So it's about choosing
your battles. Yeah,
choosing your battles.
Yeah,
I think we've
absolutely.
deviated a bit, but I think it's a case of being accepting of everyone's difference. Because even as a couple, you have conflicts when you first get married.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with someone that's so different from you, and the same way with your kids. They are different from each other, so they're trying to understand, why is this person not like me? Why don't you think like me? Why don't you like the things I like? I'm like, I can't get it.
And just to say this, to that point, my son is the extrovert, my daughter is the introvert. And so I can understand how the two of them cannot mix, right? But after they have identified that they are extrovert and introvert, they remember that they are siblings. When the two of them are gisting and talking, I'm looking at them, I'm like, what happened?
They do tete-a-tete, and you're like, what are they even
talking about? It's so amazing. And
it's beautiful to watch.
And as introverting or whatever, the introverted, thank you, as my daughter is, when she's with her, when she's I'm afraid for what will happen because, of course, they're older, the difference in age. I'm like, what happens when the older one leaves school and she's no longer,
her chat body is no longer
exactly there. I'm really concerned. But it goes back to the conversation we are having. Once upon a time, they fought. Once upon a time, I, being the maternal person, would intervene in their fighting, trying to, help them. See it from this person's point of view, see it from this person, trying to referee. But again, I can't get over the advice you gave me. And that advice is no more than 2 years old. So that you know that it takes nothing to turn these children around. I just stopped minding their business. And so, again, the conflict they're having, and I want to quickly balance it. The conflicts that they are having, they are not death resulting conflicts, right? They're just simple, I put my plate here. Why did you put your plate there? And there are things that can be managed. There are also situations where there are conflicts. I've never experienced it, but it exists where those conflicts are conflicts that question the values that you bring into your home or that you teach in your home. Those kind of conflicts. So like one of those days, my son, we had gone to Asda and I think he had found money on the floor or something, and he had picked it to own it as his own. And my daughter had said, no, you don't do that. That's not what we learned in the house. And of course he didn't. He ignored her, and she had to come to report to me to say, Mom, Tomiwa did this. That kind of conflict. Of course, he hated his sister for the rest of the day for that, but it was an important conflict to address immediately. We don't pick money from the floor. We don't take things that don't belong to us. So you need to be able to identify the conflict and know if it is something that you need to remind them of the values that are important for adult living. Because again, as we mentioned in the parent cafe, what kind of adults are you looking to raise? What kind of adults? You can have adults who have a difference of opinion with their siblings. That's fine. But you don't want to have an adult child who doesn't know that things that don't belong to them should not be taken. So identify the root of the conflict, and it will help you to figure out if you need to intervene or if it is something that they will resolve themselves.
Do you know, I love what you just said. And you know why we always talk about sibling, fighting? I'm like, I can't say much because my children don't fight. But they did. They did. Very, very briefly when they were younger. I'll probably say 8 and 5, thereabout. It didn't last, really. It didn't last a long time. But I remember, now you talk about values, because Temi is more than 3 years older than his sister. And obviously, when she misbehaves, he will beat her. He will beat her. And we had to teach him that under no circumstance do you lay your hands on a girl. Number one, she's your younger sister. Number one, she's a girl. you need to protect. And that was annoying for him because even second borns always look for trouble. Even with that, he found it frustrating that he couldn't. But it was a value that we needed to teach him. If your sister did something that got you upset, you can address it in other ways than beating her. You either report to us and we can address it, or you deal with it in a different way. You never lay your hands on your sister.
On a girl, period.
On a girl, period. And my daughter, we had to tell her, he's your older brother. You need to be respected. And it didn't last long. And it stopped. It just stopped. So I never dealt with a lot of, because that value system was there. We had to reinforce it and say, this is the reason why you can't do this. And the reality, somebody said, what kind of relationship do they have? My kids are not as chatty as yours. And I see yours and I'm like, oh, that's so cute. But my kids have this very respectful relationship with one another. My son is introverted. My daughter is the extrovert. And they have those moments where they chat and they gist and they're very athletic. When it comes to anything physical, that's for them. That's when they both come alive. But I think early when they were younger, I think it was that reinforcement of the values that maybe helped us nip it in the bud very, very quickly. Because that space of their fighting, I don't think it went more than a year or two. It was very, very brief. So I think that's it. So it was just because you mentioned that incident. I'm like, you know what, that value thing is so important.
Yeah. So you come in when you feel like the values that you're teaching them are being questioned eroded, or right. That thank you. I wasn't sure what word to use there, but I'll take the word eroded. So when they're fighting around the values that you're teaching them, then you step in. But when it is like recently, my children's beef is you didn't, so they do the chores and
flip it,
and then they flip it. Now we flip every week, where then once upon a time we used to do it every month. And now I didn't like every week because come Saturday evening, someone is going to leave a pile of dishes in the sink, and it's the responsibility of the person who is starting on Sunday. So I don't like it, but now that's what we're doing. But here's where the point is. So Saturday evening, the person who is in the kitchen on Saturday is thinking to themselves that, well, let me not kill myself. Tomorrow morning, this is going to be someone else's problem. And they've had that fight a few times. And I told them, this is what you chose to do. We've chosen to do it every week because we're doing it once a month before, and I would make sure that there was cleaning done before the flipping. You guys chose it for once a week. Whatever it is that happens in that week, it is the consequences of the choices that you've made. So one of them said, but mom, if we do it this way, it then means that next week, the person who is doing it next week can also leave the dishes unwashed. Decision that you made. So if you don't want it that way, the two of you discuss with themselves. So again, it's the conversation of, see, which battle do you want to fight? Is it the fight of, do I want to run after the person who didn't wash dishes so that they can wash the dishes well, so that the other sibling doesn't make a dirty kitchen the next day? That's not so again, the conversation is still basically pick your battles. If it is a washing dishes conversation, they can iron it out within themselves. If it is a do I need to respect an adult in the room kind of conversation, then you need to reiterate your values to them, so that that's where you come in.
Yeah. Thank you, my sister. This was lovely. I think I learned some things on this podcast about my sister that I didn't know. But I think in summary, a few things. Sibling conflicts, misunderstanding is a natural thing. It's very, very normal.
Absolutely.
And it's a phase. It does pass.
It does.
Some of few things that you can think about as parents: do not take sides. It's not every misunderstanding between the kids that you need to be involved in. You need to let them learn how to resolve conflicts themselves. Try not to intervene if it doesn't interfere with your values as a family. Because this teaches them that even in the workplace, anywhere, you have people that have misunderstandings. It's about understanding. You're teaching your children to be able to understand one another, learn how they're different and accept one another. That it's a learning process for kids. So do not stress if your kids are constantly fighting. It's just their way of trying to understand one another.
Yeah.
Your area of focus is to make sure, even in their conflict, they are still within the values that you govern your home by. And it does fade. Okay, my sister and I were best friends now. We weren't when we were younger. As they mature, things become different. So you're gonna be okay, Mama.
Absolutely.
Papa, you're gonna be okay.
Absolutely.
Don't stress. Okay, so again, I'll catch you guys next week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If it made you nod, laugh, or rethink life as a whole, then my work is done. But don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend, and come back for the next real conversation. So that's me signing out. Take care and God bless.